we have to create the right vibe, the energy, and everybody at the organization has to feel so privileged to be here. It's no other way.
Thanks for listening to the Purely Arsenal podcast. Please follow us on Twitter at PurelyArsenalFP for all the latest Arsenal podcasts.
Welcome to a Purely Arsenal podcast. I'm certainly not Jack Sessions, your host, but I am Niles Shah, and there's a reason for that. So we wanted to get one of our regulars back on the podcast, and as you may or may not know, Jack is based in the USA. And unfortunately, with timings at the moment, with Jack's two young kids, he can only really do very early morning podcasts as far as the UK time is concerned, which means our regular or other regular can't do the morning shows. So we were desperate to get him back on. And hence, we're making a bit of history today, lads. First time ever, the Purely Arsenal pod will not have Jack on, but you're going to have to make do with my fatter face. And I'm Niles Shah. But we are so pleased and proud to have our brother from another mother back, Michael Harris. Thank you for joining.
Thanks for having me back. I think Jack, in this instance was Arteta and I'm his Ozil, being left out in the cold for so long. No, exactly as you said, the reason obviously I would love to have been on, but haven't been able to because obviously the time differences and my hectic life with 3 kids. Don't do it. Anyone else thinking about it? But no, it's great to be back and to talk about the club we love with these two cool dudes. So thanks for having me back.
There's a man in Manchester that struggles with a treble, but there's a man down there that's got a treble and he doesn't struggle. He knows what he's doing. He can cope.
There you go. That was. I was just about to introduce James, but he's just decided to butt in there as usual.
Yeah.
So be quiet.
Nothing new.
40 points for you.
Right, I'm muting myself. Do my right. Do my intro, and then I'll speak afterwards.
So of course we also have, last but not least, thank you for joining, our regular guest now and Mr. Pod himself, James Johnstone, otherwise affectionately known as LL. James, glad to have you on.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a pleasure as always. I'm excited for this. It's something different. It's something new.
Absolutely.
Like we said before we recorded, Twitter and YouTube's a minefield, but we were all old enough and big enough to dodge it now. So
100%. So I'm actually going to pass it over to James. We're going to kind of co-host this, and Michael's going to hopefully chip in as well. Do it slightly differently. We're going to do it almost like it's a conversation in a pub after a game. And obviously, we're all going to be discussing that glorious win to take us to the quarterfinals of the Carabao Cup. So I'm going to hand over to James now, and let's crack on.
Yeah. So Michael, obviously, you haven't been on for such a long time. We've had 12 games so far this season. I just wanted to get your thoughts in depth on the team at the moment, obviously the manager, and I would potentially say the transfer window, but I think that's been done to death. So what's your thoughts at the moment currently on how this team's doing, where you think this team's potentially going to go, and how you think the manager's doing?
I'll start back, the back end to the front. Where I think we'll go, or where I think we could finish. I've said at the start of the season, top 6 would be, for me, that's got to be the target. What annoyed me a couple of months ago when Adu had that chat with Jess Reeves, was it? I think on Sky, and he basically said, "What's your target?" And he said, "There isn't a target. I don't want to put targets there." It's like, seriously, it's just Europe has to be the target. Ideally, Europa looking up. I know the League Cup we're going to talk about, but if you win that, I think you get into the Conference League, which isn't ideal with the level it is. But yes, Europe's got. I still think this squad is good enough to challenge the top 6. With some of the results that have happened elsewhere, I'm not particularly worried about the likes of Man United. Leicester, I'm not. We have them at the weekend, but I'm not particularly worried about them. That's only because going to the next point, the team Arteta has, he wanted to be backed. He asked to be backed. Patience, the process. He has his players there, which you guys have mentioned a couple of weeks ago in a pod, I think just before the Chelsea game. You were saying, James, about these 23 signings or renewals under his watch. So these are his players. Yes, we've got Tomiyasu in last minute, but now it looks like this is his team. The defence it's a practically brand new defence, might as well say. They all seem to be on message in terms of what needs to happen and in terms of defending the cause, and you see the way they respond when they get a clearance. When they knock a ball out for a corner, they're high-fiving and making sure that they've kept the ball away. Just saying, West Ham have knocked out City in the League Cup, so that opens the door a little bit. They just beat them on penalties. But I think that links on to the next man, Arteta. I want any Arsenal manager there. I want them to do well. I'm not someone who has an axe to grind, so much so that they get their Twitter accounts suspended because they just keep going and going and going and going. We won't talk about that Muppet, but we all want the Arsenal manager to do well, and that's the be all end all. Not to take it personally or anything like that. If we can see things that we think, well, what is he doing? Which that has been the case this season. Why did he put this line up out? Why has he done this? Why has he picked that person? Even to a certain extent last night, why did he play White? Why did he play Ben White? You could have given him a rest. Didn't need to put him in after the game we had against Villa, which was quite a brutal game, bruising game. But it seems like, he's turned the corner again and he's got people on side. He's got people like Aubameyang playing again, it seems. Lacazette has come in with a bit between his teeth, whether that's because of his contract situation. Yeah, at the end of the day, he's in a shop window, so let's try and use that for our own gain and maybe for his in the long run. But I just wish I hope Arteta continues, with the tangent he's going on. I just still obviously want him to be a little bit more progressive and more expansive, because there's still times where he won't allow us to go on release the handbrake and let us go. He's still wanting us to be cautious and everything. And there was an instance with the Emma Smith-Rowe goal against Villa where we win the ball back and he's saying to Tavares like that. You can actually see him on the touchline saying, hold the ball. But Tavares is going, no, bang, to Aubameyang. He's round the corner to Smith-Rowe and we score. So there's still that element where he's still a bit cautious. He's still too hands-on a little bit and telling people what to do when there's a throw-on, for example. He's still telling people where to stand in the throw-on. If these guys have been playing football since they've been in nappies, okay? If you're telling people, professionals, where to stand at a throw-in, what are you doing? You shouldn't have to do that. You shouldn't have to be that hands-on. Let these guys play. You spend your time on the training pitch, the extra time you've got on the training pitch because there's no European football. These guys should let them execute your plan. Let sit back a little bit. He's still too hands-on. But maybe that's because he cares too much. Maybe he really wants this to work. But no, I'm delighted, obviously, with the way things are going. I've got no axe to grind with Arteta, but it's funny how if you spoke to me, obviously 3 or 4 games in, I was pretty much, I don't think this guy's the one, but it looks like he's bought some time. The fixtures, apart from the Liverpool game, I think are obviously are winnable, to keep the run going. But no, happy, delighted with where the things are, and importantly, what the team are, the momentum the team are in at the moment. That's the key thing for me.
Yeah, no, and I agree with that. And I think you alluded to a great point there about still the coaching. I think if you asked anybody in any position, they don't like to be micromanaged. And it's like you've said, these are guys that have been playing football since they're in nappies, like you said. And yeah, you've got to allow some tiny increment of freedom and expression, because if you look at Tavares, that isn't what Arteta would have probably wanted against Aston Villa. But that guy's own endeavour and willing to just bomb and do what he was doing, it really, really helped. I mean, everyone on here is a Tierney fan. I don't think there's anyone here that overly criticises him or blames him. But this season, I don't know if it's just, wear out or what have you. He just hasn't been the same sort of player. And that was so refreshing to watch Tavares against Aston Villa the other day, and I thought he wasn't too bad when he come on last night as well. So I don't know where do you want to go from here, Neil? Do you want to do your three things, or how do you want to go about it?
No, I think we'll stick to a little bit of tradition, and I think we'll ask you about the lineup, James. So
yeah,
go.
Okay, yeah. Lineup wise, well, I got it completely wrong, but that was because I wasn't aware that they had the old. I don't know if they got a dodgy curry or they ate some scampi or something that weren't completely washed in the seawater that we've got over here at the moment. It's not the best with all the sewage going in. Topical joke there for everybody. But it was just to see Ben White at the time. I was like, oh my goodness! And then when he went down, that was me thinking, oh my God, he's injured. But then when he said, no, it's the bug and everything, and we just took him off because I'm like, oh, he's turtling, so we've subbed him. That's fine. Yeah, that's okay. I can accept that. I can't, if it was his hamstrings or whatever gone, then I was panicking because he's been really, really important. And we saw that again last night as well, didn't we? How important. Sorry, Neil. Sorry. Yeah. We saw how important he was because when he was bringing the ball out, you called me the man of the pods earlier. When I was with Kevin Campbell a couple of weeks back on the pods, he was saying to me, as a striker, I'm the first line of defence and I don't like running that way. And neither do my defenders or my midfielders. So even Rob Holding last night, I was like, bloody hell, you're coming out here, you're stroking the ball about, a guy that can't play. He's just a header merchant, or he's just an old school centre back. He can't play football. He looked like he could play football a bit last night. I don't know if it was because. Do you know what that reminded me a little bit? Do you know when Wenger first came on board and he almost revitalised our defence, gave them 5 years rejuvenation, if you like, and he started employing that tactic of making them run forward a little bit and actually, creating stuff. So it kind of reminded me when I saw Holding doing that, I'm like, oh my God. Ben White's at it, Holding's at it. So I totally agree with you. Yeah, I think it's the energy just rubs off on them all. If you were to say to me, and Michael alluded to it earlier, if you were to say to me after probably Brentford and Chelsea, we're going to go into a cup game and we're going to make 9 changes, I would have done what Ben White did. I'd have turtled. I'd have panicked. And I think we made 9 changes last night. And really, apart from 2 or 3 chances, they had the one from Harrison that Leno made a great save from. And I'll praise him because that's, I've been loud enough to criticise the guy. So I'll be loud enough to praise him. I thought he was brilliant yesterday, all apart from just the little tiny bits of where he's holding it on a bit too long. He just wasn't quick. Ramsdale's raised that distribution to such a level that when it goes down and it's slower, you realise it's... That again is I've I've slated Ramsdale before we signed him. I freely admit I didn't back the signing. Since he's come in, he has raised the standard of what we've seen in a goalkeeper. That I'm expecting whoever that goalkeeper is has to be at that similar or same level. And there were just times yesterday with Leno where I was just like, mate, just a bit quicker, but. Because you let the team reset then, and then they're more ready for whatever you want to do when you play it out. But no, lineup-wise, he got it right. He got it all right. People were saying, it should be Balogun instead of Eddie. I understand that, but at the same time, I think he's trying to make Eddie stay, which again baffles me as to why he signed Balogun. He said after the game, I really want him to stay. So, yeah, it's a tough one.
It's a tough one, yeah. I agree. I think I read that as well, that he wants him to stay. He really likes what he does in training and his work rate and his attitude and application, and he wants to stay, which is strange. Why did we sign Balogun? It's like surplus to requirements. It's a bit unfair on Balogun as well. But
I don't know if it was a bit. Sorry, go on.
I personally was disappointed. I'm a big Balogun fan, as I'm a big Martinelli fan, which I'm sure we're going to talk about. But that was the only real disappointment for me, not seeing Balogun maybe get even a few minutes. I've been talking about Martinelli not getting a few minutes now. It's like Balogun not getting a few minutes, but he did what he did, and we got the result. It was a professional job, not the prettiest, but we got the job done.
Yeah, I know it was his former club as well, but I don't know if you two noticed. Here's another one to sort of tangent it a bit. I thought Nketiah yesterday in terms of his willingness and holding, like he seemed a bit stronger. And I don't know if that was because he wanted to prove himself against that manager and against probably those ex-players that he used to play with, or if that's something that he's got better. He just seemed a bit more physical, which is something I don't normally associate with him. That's a guy who I think operates in the box. He's not someone that can hold up and bring people in. I mean, in the first half, he laid on a brilliant cross to Pepe that he miscontrolled, and then Smith Rowe hit the volley over the bar. But I mean, if Pepe controlled that properly, it would have been a brilliant, and Nketiah's normally the one you want in the box on the end of it. So for him to be linking up the play and building the play up, I was really impressed on that side of his game yesterday.
Yeah, I'll agree. Yeah, definitely. I think he's has been doing some work on his upper body. I think on his strength work. Because someone like Balogun, even though he didn't show it against Brentford, he has that natural sort of strength he seems to have where he can hold it and lay it off. But yeah, definitely Eddie had a bit between his teeth, and I think probably touch on it, but I think the players, there's a handful of players. What you want in situations like yesterday, you want a handful of players to, as Arteta alluded to yesterday, last night, you want them to make them think about the next game in terms of where they're going to fit in, or if they played their way in a little bit into their thoughts. And I think there were about 5 or 6 players that have done their calls well. I don't think Martinelli was one of those. He seemed really rusty. A couple of occasions where he could have played the ball in, he didn't, which is unlike him, because we know that he's probably one of the sharpest minds around that, around the penalty area, in terms of his cuteness and smartness around the ball. But there was even Lacazette came on first few minutes. He still looked busy and still wanted to get amongst it. Almost got a goal because he was just dogged and just want to let the ball go. And he's been huge, man. He's going to be so key. He's brought everyone up along with him, and raised everyone's level. And as you said, James, sometimes the energy of some people just bounces off you. And if someone does something, it gives you confidence to try and do this something. If the opportunity is there, not to play against your type, because Holding's got that ability to play like that, but because maybe the way he's been told to coach by Arteta, his whole body shape and everything's position has not been right and everything, and he's not confident to do that, to bring the ball out. He sees Ben White doing that when the opportunity is there to do it. He's thinking, well, I'm going to do it as well. I'm not going to jeopardise or put myself in danger here. I'll do it when the opportunity is there. Just clever, smart play, and he was good last night as well. Maitland-Niles was good. I know Aubameyang was giving him friendly abuse in the dressing room afterwards last night. But yeah, that's what you want. You want in those situations players to come in, do themselves credit, and then you feel a bit, okay, well, if such and such is out, then we're not really too worried about someone else coming in, because we know they're coming in off a good bounce or good performance, rather than, oh shit, we've got to play, Kolasinac, for example, who was okay, but if you bring someone in who's had a bad game and then we have to play, we've got no choice to, then you really start to worry a little bit, and then that's a weak link. And but no, it was a good night. It was a good night last night. You know what Leeds is like. James was there, murder ball. And there was a stat I think I heard Ralph Hassan who will say, whenever teams play against Leeds, their average passing stats go through the floor, literally drop off massively, because Leeds they're just a mental team. They play one man on, man marking all 11, all 10 outfield. And that's why I think Smith Rowe struggled a little bit first half, just finding that little bit of space and pocket space, and they found it in the second half. But no, it was a good performance, man. Everyone did well, and it just keeps keeping the momentum going into these next few games.
I think just touching on the first half. I mean, it wasn't the prettiest, but I think it was a dogged performance. I mean, Leeds defended well, I think, and that stopped our players being creative like they normally have been with our now familiar first team. And you've got to remember, there's literally the whole team's changed. They haven't played with each other for a while. And to be fair, given that, although there were a few errors, the defence did okay. I mean, they did all right. And just a couple of players that I just wanted to mention. Leno, you've already mentioned, James. I thought quietly he was when he wasn't really brought into action that much. He wasn't needed that much, especially in the second half. But when he was called into action, he was tremendous. I mean, that save, he was blinded. Was it by Fraser? I can't remember who took the shot. I could be wrong.
The one from the corner, the good little save was Harrison, and then the other one.
Sorry.
Yeah, the other one was Dan James, weren't it? When he ran through,
okay.
And he managed to. But I think that was just he was lucky because it sort of just hit him in the chest, didn't it? It sort of bounced off him, but it was a good read. Like he come out quick to get it, which you want. Because if you get that wrong, it's a penalty.
I don't think there's ever been any question about his goalkeeping stopping. Trying to get the words out. Abilities. I think he's always shot stopping abilities. I think he's always been well up there with that. He showed it to us in that season where he was very, very good. He was one of the 3 players up for Player of the Season, and we're not going to take that away from him. I think where he falls down is his vocality and his, if there's such a word, and his distribution, as James alluded to earlier. There was a couple of times where he had the ball and he could have just played it out, and he didn't. He just held on to it. Now, Ramsdale, on the other hand, would have just, taken that ball away and given us a chance on the counter, or at least an attack, or formulate something creative from there. But he just seems to hold on to the ball a little bit more. And the other guy I wanted to speak about was Niles, which you alluded to just very quickly. Michael, I thought in the first half especially, he was very enterprising. He just seemed like a different player to me. He came out of his shell, and talking about Eddie laid on that great pass to him where he was then felled in the penalty area. There was a little bit of a call, could that been a penalty? I don't think it was, but that was a great move by both, and especially Niles with that pace. I've never seen him run so fast. So he was really up for it, I think, yesterday. So that was good to see. And I think the boss at the half time maybe told him to calm down a bit. And I didn't see him being so forward thinking in the second half. And he just wanted to make sure that he did his defensive duties. But I thought Niles was another player that impressed me yesterday. I think that by the end of the first half, I was even saying he's man of the match at that point. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if you guys want to talk about any more about the first half, but yeah.
No. For me, Maitland-Niles was my man of the match. I thought he was absolutely superb, especially as a midfielder. He said, this is where I want to play. He was prepared to leave to go play there. Managers backed him and give him the chance. And I thought he was brilliant. I mean, I've always said I don't think that he's good enough potentially on the ball to play there. I've got like you said, in terms of energy and, defensive capability, I haven't really got a problem, but we need someone that's quick and everything. And, he was the more, like you said, enterprising. It was, El Neni, who you normally associate with being a bit more comfortable on the ball. He was the one that was doing the sideways and being the more frustrating. And it was Niles that's, going for it and playing really well. And, he won all of his tackles. He only lost one duel last night on the ground. He won all of his ones in the air. And if you can find his heat map, he's literally, when Kolasinac or whoever was going on the left, he was tucking in there. But then he was also on the other side doing it for Cedric and Pepe, who were on the right as well. He was tucking in to help them. So I was really, really impressed, and it's a good to know that he's got that option to play there, because obviously when Boxing Day comes around, I know they've got to go earlier now because they want him to isolate before the tournament starts. So to know that he's an option there with Partey and El Neni going is a big boost, especially if he can play like that. If we can get more performances like that, it'd be amazing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Michael, did you have anything you wanted to say about Niles, or?
No, just thought that it's great that he played. Great that he played so well, especially up against. I know Calvin Phillips was his first game back, proper game back. But I just think that it was, like you said, it was great to have that in Arteta's back of his head to say, okay, you can rely on him to step in and do the job if needs be. But yeah, definitely, man of the match last night. I know Eddie got, Nketiah got it, didn't he?
Yes, he got the one. Yes, he got the one on Sky, and then Leno got the club one. So I don't know. I don't know if people were trolling there, but I don't know. But
you guys got any more thoughts about the first half before we go on to the second?
Not really. There was nothing apart from that Smith Rowe chance. I don't remember really anything else that we created. No. I mean, if you want to touch on it, you can talk about the front three in that first half. I know there's probably someone. I know there's someone out there that is called John that will probably like to hear about your thoughts on the front three.
Well, I'll take Martinelli then, but I mean, I'll let you two take the other two. So you'll take Nketiah, I'm sure. James is your man.
I can do, yeah.
And Michael, if he doesn't mind, can take Pepe. I'll go with so Martinelli. I'm still going to defend him. I still think, and John's going to be laughing at me, a lot of people are saying he should go on loan. Maybe that might be good for him. But my worry about that is we might have a depletion, especially coming up over the Christmas period with the African Nations Cup. We can't afford, and if there is, God forbid, an injury here or there, I think we need someone as good as Martinelli is. I think my problem with Martinelli, and I keep saying it, and I'll say it till I'm blue in the face, he just doesn't get enough pitch time. And I don't think he can be judged on one game, especially when he's playing on the left. He's having to cut inside. I think Leeds made that a little bit difficult for him. Yeah, there was a couple of times where he could have taken control and he didn't do it and execute it. But you've got to remember, he hasn't had much time on the pitch to be free-flowing like we did see of him when he first came to the club. And I just feel that if he can get a few 10, 15, 20-minute cameos in some Prem games, when he can come on, when maybe we're kind of comfortable in a game, touch wood, and we're not, and I think that will do him the world of good. And even the converse as well. I mean, even if we're chasing a game and we're running out of ideas, he might be the person to put on. But I think you guys might disagree with me, but I think he might be better through the middle. He might be better playing through the middle. I've always thought that when I first saw him. Then what happens with Lacazette and what happens with maybe Nketiah now? But I just feel if there's an option for him to play in the middle, I think he should. But I just felt he was very not unlucky. I think he was rusty. I don't want him to go on loan. I want to keep the guy, and I just want to see him get some more minutes. But that's my thoughts on him.
I think he's a confidence player as well. I think where he's been, like you said, if you're in and out, but the only time you're in is literally for like 2 or 3 minutes, that's not enough. That's not enough. I think he needs to know that he is important. And, I'm not saying the manager doesn't rate him, because you can't have a player like that at your disposal and not rate him. I think if you got someone who's never even watched a game of football, but you made him watch a training session and then afterwards you went, who stood out for you? He would pick Gabriel Martinelli, because he's that kind of player.
But does it worry you that he's spoken quite outwardly about Nketiah, what he thinks about him, but he's also the same about Martinelli? That is a little bit concerning for me. But maybe. Yeah, I don't know.
I think it's just a case of maybe if Martinelli had scored, you'd have heard more about. I don't know. You could be onto something, but this about loaning him out, we can't. We're depleted enough as it is in January. Well, even Boxing Day if it goes through. And I'm sorry, but premium players that can do like what Martinelli can do when he's on song, people will go, yeah, but Liverpool signed Luis Suarez in January.
I can't see us getting a striker in January.
No, there isn't an equivalent of a Luis Suarez that you could get in January for me in this market at the moment. I think all the big stuff again is going to be done in the summer, because there's no way Barcelona's and Real Madrid's can carry on like this. There's just no way. All the jigsaw pieces will fall through. It'll be like, whenever Pogba and Mbappe leave, all the rest of the clubs will then start. It will take like one of them two to go, and then everything will just blow up and go mad with it all with transfer-wise. So, yeah, I don't know. We might get this winger that we're linked with from Belgium in January, but I have no idea. Because I can't see Pepe lasting longer, but and I'm a huge fan, but I'll let Michael go on Pepe.
Only thing I'll touch on Martinelli quickly. I think with him, he hit the ground running so well. Under Emery, and everyone fell head over heels for him. But I think since he's had the knee injury, he's had the setback when he came back from the knee injury. Then he's playing under a different manager that doesn't really seem to maybe trust him as much. Then he's gone away to a COVID lockdown Olympics with Brazil. Doesn't feature that much, but ends up with a medal. comes back, gets thrown into the first game against Brentford, then gets iced and doesn't really feature. So there's a lot of things that's been going on. You've got to remember his age. He's still a young kid. So there's lots of factors there. But I think someone like him, you can tell he relishes, playing. He wants to play. He wants to run after everything. He wants to get involved. He wants to get touches. He's not one of those players that we're happy to go along with 10 touches a game. He wants loads and loads and loads of touches, and he wants to press and feel, get physical with his marker or who he's up against. So I think he will come. I think we have to stick with him, and knowing something will happen. Someone will get injured, and then he's in there. He gets in, and then he gets to run the games. But Pepe, I've got a record. I mean, again, I want every Arsenal player, who wears a shirt to do well, as long as they, respect the shirt and respect the club. And Pepe, he didn't pay the money for him. We know that there was sort of a lot of dodgy stuff going on in terms of the fee and how it went about, and the people whose fingerprints were over that sort of no longer here. But I said, I think I remember watching him play against Liverpool at Anfield. I think it was his debut, and just the first half. I was in a stag do, and I was a Liverpool fan next to me who was proper giving me digs about, obviously they turned us over, and I remember saying, and he says, and I said, I've never seen a player that looks like a lack of killer instinct. Even the way he walks on the pitch, watching walking on the pitch, there's just no sort of oomph there. It's very laissez-faire sort of thing. It's like, okay, it's like, one of those guys that he used to play over at Hackney Marshes, and after school, you just still have your uniform on, and you're still kicking around, and some guys over there, he's chatting to girls, and then the ball comes to him, he's like, hang on a second, does a few things, and he goes back and talks to the girl and just talk about getting the digits. That's Pepe, but then he'd come on and he'd just smash it for 10 minutes, and then he'll go over and chat to the girl again. So for me, it just seems like, he's got mad ability. We've seen it. There was 1 minute where he took someone out, he went outside of someone, and he cut inside between two players, and he fell over the ball, but you look at his numbers, his numbers are there. He knows where the goal is. He provides assists. It's just a consistency, and I think he's got it. But it's whether he's almost on the verge of a luxury player sort of thing, where he can do it, but he just needs to hit 7 out of 10s more. If Pepe's hitting 7 out of 10s a game, then he's doing business. He's either scoring or assisting. Without any shadow of a doubt, but he's not doing that. He's getting 6, he's getting 5. He's like, what is he doing? So I obviously rooting for the guy. I want him to do well. He gets people off the edge, off their seats and stuff. But I think that again, he didn't really take the opportunity, last night like other players did, because obviously we know the first team. He's not in that first team now. He's not one of the first names on the sheet. So he'll be a little bit disappointed, but at the moment he's just going to have to be an impact sub, I think.
Would you say for you it's more about his attitude and application more than anything else?
I just think that's how it just seems. How long has he been at the club? 2 years, 2 seasons now, 2 seasons and a bit, and that's him, isn't it? That we've not seen anything different with him in terms of his attitude. He just seems to be that type of way where he's very sort of chilled out guy. He'll get the ball, he'll try and do something and try and make something, productive. And if he loses it, he'll try and sort of back, and he'll try and look interested. And then he go and chat to one of the girls in front row, in row A over there. And then he'll get back on it again. So he seems like he's that sort of mentality. He's got the ability. He's a tremendous, he's a tremendous player. He's done some crazy things, Everyone's still talking about the nutmeg against Ben Mee when he played when he made his debut against Burnley in the Emirates. He's got mad ability, his set pieces and stuff, but he just needs to be hitting 7s, and that's all he needs to do. Just to do that, and then.
Did you see the Aubameyang video? Did you see the Aubameyang video after the game? No. But he done one with Niles, and then he's done one where he's taken the mickey out of Pepe because he's got like big Pepsi and just a whole little box of chicken satay skewers. And it's just like, there you go, lads, I've dropped a 5 out of 10. I'm going to have my Pepsi and my skewers. Like you said, I've secured, I mean, you did get an assist. Okay, it's not what we call a main Pepe assist. But one thing I will say is, I believe it was even you or Jack, Neil, a couple of podcasts ago that said when Ben White or whoever plays that longer diagonal ball, Pepe's really underrated in the air at winning that first eight like a knock-on. And I was really impressed with that. I mean, if you want to touch on the second half and the goals, one of the points that I made is that in the last couple of games, we've got 4 goals from corners in 3 games. And you know what? That's the first time we've done that since October 2008. So
2008.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, it's massive. And Mikel Arteta wanted the set-piece coach that he's got now when he first joined, but he couldn't get him. And he got him this year. And I tell you what, the guy's doing bits.
Jover.
Yeah.
Nicholas Jover, is it?
Yeah. I mean, Liverpool used to get slated because they have a coach that's purely just for throw-ins. But and then they really amped up getting one for corners, one for this one. And you saw, I think it was the Barcelona game when Trent Alexander-Arnold took that corner so quick, because it's just stuff that they've been taught and everything else. And I'd like that we're a threat from set pieces. I don't mind scoring route one goals.
Do you know what's different as well? It's different. They're not doing the short corners as much.
Yes.
They're more direct.
Yeah,
and I've always been hated short corners. And look,
yeah,
there you go.
And it was Smith Rowe again. It was Smith Rowe again that whipped that corner in.
Yeah.
So I was really, really impressed. I mean, Chambers, 23 seconds and he scores a goal. And I'm happy. I'm one of the few people that quite like Chambers.
I do as well.
Yeah,
I do.
I think it's because he's such a nice guy. I think it's because I like him as a person, maybe more as a player.
But he's a consummate professional. All right, people don't rate his playing abilities. He is a consummate professional. He never complains.
Nope.
He can be left out for match after match after match. But when he finally comes on, he'll do as good a job as he possibly can.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what I like about him. And it was actually the reason for his celebration and running to the set piece coach, Nicholas Jover. Is it Jover or Jover?
Yeah.
I don't know how to pronounce it. Was because he actually said to him, "You're going to score with your first touch." And that's the reason why he ran. And what I loved about that celebration is you see Ramsdale, he wasn't even in the squad. And did you see him going mental? And I love Ramsdale so much now because he is the epitome of what we've been crying out for so long. Someone with a real good attitude to be in the club and be that infectious attitude for all the rest of the players. He's vocal. He seems to be so happy to be a part of Arsenal. It's untrue. Yeah. And I just love the fact that, not taking anything away from James Johnstone, because I'm so pleased with the lad, but Ramsdale's reaction on the touchline was incredible. And it was a Pepe assist. Well. Yes, absolutely. Was brilliant.
Yeah, and I mean, I like we were saying earlier, you've made 9 changes there, and that spirit level hasn't dropped. And again, I think at the moment that's the one big positive I'll say is whatever they're drinking in the water down there, or whatever's going in their heads down there, they're all getting it. There's something. I'm not getting carried away because it needs to be consistent for me. For me, if we go and lose Saturday, it ruins everything. For me, if we can go unbeaten until Liverpool, that is huge. That is absolutely massive. That is so massive for us. And I like the fact that whether you're a starter, whether you're someone that's coming in. I mean, the Salah kid was on the bench. I'd have loved for him to come on, but that's the first. Sit and watch. And, he's there that's the first time he's with the first team squad. He must have been thinking, I'll have a bit more of it. Even, sitting and watch it, I can feed off this. And then he'll go and tell all the others that are in the under 23s, then some of them do train, but they'll go, look, lads, we might have
it's like a domino effect.
Yeah, you do progress in this club. You do, as a young player, get chances. I mean, we're being carried by 2 young players if you really want to get to. I know Aubameyang had a bit of a runner for. So you will get a chance to play here at this club. So like you said, it's a domino effect, and just keep the good, keep the good vibes going. All you got to do is, just keep winning games. That's the thing. People are like, exactly. Oh yeah, but what have we got to keep doing to keep all of you happy? Just win a game. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Michael, did you have any thoughts on the Callum Chambers goal?
No, just obviously happy that we got the game, we got off the mark, because it looked like it was possibly going to be like a penalty shootout situation, because Leeds were just sort of dogged. But no, yeah, delighted for Chambers, and that gets his energy up as well. As James touched on, the reaction from the bench, Ramsdale, leading the cheers, and someone like him, you can imagine what he's like in the dressing room before a game, shouting, getting, come on lads, this is our game here. They don't want it, things like that. Just getting them on their toes, like Adams probably used to do, and Keown, just that sort of, verbal stuff, it's just great to see the team spirit. Again, as James said, it looks like it's on point at the moment, and the next two games, it would be huge if we could get to Anfield. With the run, unbeaten run still going. Leicester just won on penalty, so they'll be on the up as well, getting through to the next round. But obviously, you can't say they played it another half an hour. They didn't, because it goes straight to penalties, doesn't it? So, so they're through. So hopefully, Arteta will have Rodgers' number again, and I think we've got Newcastle. Is it? We've got Newcastle at home. Is it, or is it someone else? Or someone else?
I think it is. Yeah,
sure. Watford. It's Watford.
Watford. Yeah, Watford. So that should be. We still need to Everton, but it should be straightforward, that one. But if we can go in the next couple of games with maximum points or 4 points, that'd be great. To Anfield.
Absolutely. I think the other thing I just wanted to touch on is with the defence. I think it's 5 clean sheets in 8 games, James. Am I right?
Yeah, you're correct.
That's brilliant, isn't it? Mm-hmm. It's great standard. Mm-hmm. So just got to keep going, and that's a clean sheet with a completely different defence apart from Ben White, but a completely different defence. Yeah. So long may this continue. And go on, sorry.
Yeah, sorry, Neil. I was going to say someone else who should definitely mention has been Gabriel, man. I mean, I don't know, since he's come in, he looks like he's grown like a couple of inches, and up and wider, as well, because he's verbal. I think the way he dealt with Danny Ings was, not Danny Ings, Ollie Watkins. The way he dealt with him the other night was I love to see that. Just had him in his pocket, wasn't having it. Every time they had a little coming together, he'll leave his arm in or little elbow in, or just shoved him to get in his head still. And I think he's taken on the responsibility, a lot of the responsibility now that David Luiz isn't there. Almost as the elder statesman there at the back, even though Tierney's obviously more experienced and everything, but the way he's come back and just seamlessly, formed this partnership, this really good partnership with Ben White, or Benjamin White, I should say. It's been fantastic, So credit to him as well. We've just got to wrap these guys in cotton wool, man, and try and get the run going as much as we can. Tierney's the one that we're a bit worried about at the moment. It looks like he's got a cloud over him. At the moment, I think it could be the injuries and obviously the summer he's had. I don't think, top of my head, I don't think anyone that has played all the way into the Euros, or especially of England, top of my head, that has started the season well. Grealish has been up and down. Foden's only started to play because he was injured and he didn't play for the rest of the tournament. Sterling's had a nightmare. Kane, we know what's happening with Kane. I don't think any of Saka's been, jaded as well. I think he's mentally drained, Saka, with everything that's happened.
Maguire's a write-off.
Yeah, I don't think Shaw as well. I don't think any.
It's a good point. It's a good point.
Has started off really, really well. I don't think anyone who's been involved in
Pickford's been a mess as well.
Yeah, I don't think anyone who's really been involved in the tournament has really sort of kicked on, because I think you've got to take into account all the shit they had to go through with all the testings and all that stuff. So I think with Tierney, if Tavares could come in and continue like he did against Villa,
I agree.
Whilst Tierney's recuperating and getting recharged, I think again it bodes well going forward, doesn't it?
It's a kind of a little parallel there to the problem that Martinelli may have. When you said you summed it up quite nicely there with the cloud over his head, it could be the same with Martinelli as well. And ironically, they're the two that were playing so well under Emery. They were devastating together, weren't they, with that partnership? Let's hope they can both get sorted out and start doing what we used to see of them. It'd be great to have that on the left, because we always laud about the left hand side, didn't we? Always used to laud about how all our attacks coming from that side, and we want to get the balance. We want to get the whole team flowing and attacking from all corners, from all parts of the pitch, and that would just be incredible, I think. Want to talk about the second goal, or is there anything else in the second half that James? Or
I'll quickly do. I know the leader of the Los Angeles club of the Eddie Nketiah Appreciation Society can't be here, so I'll step in for him as the Essex chapter. It's a typical Eddie Nketiah goal. The initial bit that he does is rubbish. Then the header comes across. He does really well. The touch to bring it down. That's class. And I know people might go, "Oh, come on, it's you with Eddie." No, that's seriously. If that was anybody else, I'd be like, "That is sublime." And then he sort of chips it off his shin pad. And he carries on his record of like scoring goals from like 0.5 of a centimetre, don't he? He's got like so many of them and everything else. So, happy days. They all count. And it obviously meant a lot to him because of who he was playing and everything else. So, you can't knock him. He scored. He done what he was meant to be doing, and we'll just wait and see. I don't think he's going to get many more chances other than potentially in that cup. And then in that January and whatever spell, I sadly think that Balogun will be loaned. I know that you're not going to want that to happen, Neil. But I think he needs to go. He needs to go and play proper, football week in, week out. Not in the Championship. If it was possible, I would give him to a Norwich or someone, because they need goals from Pookie's not there at all, and the American boy they've signed has been terrible for him, hasn't he? So I would give him to someone like a Norwich, or just anyone who's in that bottom 5 or 6, just to see if he can turn them around. Because we did it with Willock, we loaned Willock out and he got points off people that we were trying to compete against at the time. And if we can get Balogun doing the same, Jack always alludes to it. Chelsea loan out their players to other clubs to take points off their rivals, and I believe Balogun can score if he's playing consistently in a proper team.
Yeah, I think I agree, but I think he goes to someone like Norwich. They're not creating as many chances as they did. Pookie's not. So maybe somewhere abroad, maybe somewhere like a league like Germany, where they're pretty free scoring and open there. One of the teams just below the top 6, or maybe if someone's interested in him, just somewhere where he's going to get a bit more free. The game's going to be a little bit more freer. And he'll have to obviously learn. I think we saw obviously how Smith Rowe did when he went over there, and Nelson was putting up trees when he went over there as well. So maybe that might be another route for him to go there. But I think you're right. He's definitely going to probably get loaned out in January. I think. Just get some minutes, because he's not if he stays here unless there's a serious injury crisis.
Let Vieira out.
I was going to say Palace, because Palace are interested in Nketiah. Maybe and Arteta doesn't want Nketiah to go anywhere. Maybe give Balogun to them for a few months, and I'd love him to play under Vieira. I think that would be perfect. That would be my ideal. I can't see both Martin and Ian Balogun not being loaned out. It's going to be one of them, 100%.
No, it won't be Martinelli. Trust me. I will be very, very shocked if it's Martinelli.
No, definitely. Guys, is there any other moments of the game that you guys want to touch on before we go to predictions?
No, I mean, is your prediction still the same for Leicester? Yeah. Or have you changed it?
Yeah, I went 2-1. No, I'm still going 2-1.
Yeah.
I don't know who I said the score, but 2-1. I don't know who I said the score. Maybe Aubameyang. Yeah, I think I might have said Aubameyang.
Yeah, you did. Yeah. And I think I did 3-1 and Lacazette. So I'm gonna stick with it, even though it seems a bit out there. But Michael, you haven't done one all year. What you?
Yeah, come on, get it right, Michael. Come on.
I'm going to take the Jackson over and be a bit cautious, and probably say 1-1, and then I think Lacazette will score. I think it's going to be a pretty tricky game. they've all of a sudden they found the scoring boots, haven't they? Scored, two tonight. But scored 4 a couple of times. But yeah, I think you can see us coming away with a point, which is bad. Obviously, love it to be a win, of course, but 1-1. Lacazette to do his business again.
Vardy's meant to be out, but they've still got Iheanacho and Dak. They've still got Iheanacho and Daka, who are quality. They're both really good. Yeah, they're both really good.
I just love Lacazette at the moment. I mean, you talked about it earlier, Michael, but the way he beat, I can't remember if it's you or James, but the way he beat 3 players in his cameo, it was you, Michael. He just came on and beat 3 players. And if he'd scored that goal, that would have been up there for goal of the season. That was incredible effort right at the end. And it's just showing how even...
It shows you, like you said, the attitude. He could have come on there and thought, okay, well, I know I'm first team now. I'm in the first team. After all my last couple of performances, I could just pop it around. But no, the guy was literally, just mauling those guys, to get through to try and get a shot at goal. And he's been massive. What we give for like a 25-year-old Lacazette, someone just doing that and bringing those kids through still, But
so strong.
He is. I think to be fair, we've all said on here for some, especially Jack has said, how much he brings to the team more than Aubameyang does, But to be fair, Aubameyang in the last couple of games, especially the home games, he's brought something to his game. The pass he made over to Smith Rowe for his goal, and the way the pressing he did against Palace, especially, was insane. I don't know what. He must have been on a promise or something after the game because he
must have been
like a loon. Maybe he was going to get a new Ferrari. Yeah, maybe he was going to get a new gold-plated Ferrari or something like that after the game from his brother or something. I don't know, but he was on it, and and obviously the game against the mob up the road. But if those two are sparking off each other, we know how much they love each other and how much they respect each other. Yeah. That's just going to bring more good stuff to us, hopefully, and just hopefully everybody else, will spark off that as well. And it's looking good, man. It's looking good.
Yeah, everyone here has always said, if you've got Aubameyang and he isn't scoring goals at a consistent basis, there's no point having him there. And at the moment, he's on a run, so to keep it going, because if he's not scoring, the team, to get where we want to get, he's got to get, the 17 to 23 goals a season. We need it. We need it. Otherwise, we're not going to do anything. And at the moment, he looks like he's on a little bit of a run. So hopefully, long may it continue. Because, like I said, we'll get back to where we want to be if he's scoring the goals.
Brilliant. Guys, I've really enjoyed it. I don't know if you guys want to add anything more. I feel like we've covered pretty much everything. The main thing is we got through to the next round, which is fantastic. We'll find out on Soccer AM, is it? Saturday?
Yeah, I'm not waking up. I probably will be awake that early, actually. I've got Dagenham versus Chesterfield to go to. So
there you go.
Yeah,
there you go. Yay. There you go. So hopefully we'll get a kind draw, but you never know our luck. But whoever it is, at least we're there. So, you've got to be in it to win it. And I think we've got every chance of progressing. So let's see what happens. But I've really enjoyed it. So thank you all. I'm going to let Michael just say a few words if he wants to, and then let James close it. So go ahead.
I'd say thanks for having me back. Managed to keep the kids quiet, well past their bedtime. So, no, thanks very much. And, I think if I'd been on the pod at the start of the season, if you came to me about Amazon Prime subscription, I would have said get the hell out of here. But it's looking like I'm going to go on Amazon. I'm going to add the Prime subscription to my wish list, and next couple of games, I think James is right. If we get to Anfield in a good position, I think I'll be making that subscription. We're ready for when it comes out. I'll get my popcorn and everything, and I think we might have to have some sort of YouTube reaction or something with it. Once we're watching it, I think that's the next direction for purely Arsenal boys.
I think we should. Yeah, it's going to be one of those where like everybody always says when something new on Netflix or whatever comes out, they're like, oh, the first 2 episodes a bit shaky, but stick with it. It gets better, and then at the end it's brilliant. So hopefully it's one of those. Hopefully, if it goes again, no. But, a bit like this. I've heard this Squid Games. The first 2 episodes are a bit.
I've got to watch that.
You go.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
No, the first like 45 minutes are pretty much, this is it's a bit mental because it's like, it's Korean, they're acting as a bit over OCT, a bit wild, but then after that moment, you're just hooked. It's got you, man. I think I watched the whole 9 episodes. I think I watched it in about 5 days. 5 days, I think.
Nice.
I watched it. It's a mental show. But yeah,
Okay.
I'll definitely recommend it. I'm on The Sopranos now. I'm on the last season now. I've got 3 seasons in of the last season, so almost finished that. But yeah, it's been good.
Brilliant.
But yeah,
there we go. We said it was going to be different.
This one.
Oh, it's been a pleasure. We've been so delighted to have you back. We've been crying for you to come back for so long, and I'm so pleased we've done it. And hopefully we'll be able to do it again. Let's see how this slightly different Jack less or absent makes what kind of viewings we get and what kind of reactions we get. But hopefully it'll be positive ones. We'll obviously welcome Jack back. I'm pretty sure he'll want to do one after the Leicester game. So hopefully we'll be back for that. But it's been a pleasure having you on. And James, as always, the man. Thank you. And James, will you just remind everyone where they can find us? And we are on most of the platforms, but you go ahead and do that.
Just quick, do you want to say where people can find you on Twitter, Neil and Michael? Just, especially you, Michael, because there might be people that come along, since you've not been here, that might go, they might go, oh, I want to follow this man. So where can they follow you? Not in the street or anything, on Twitter. You can't find out where he lives. You can't dox him and then follow him. I'm talking purely Twitter, all right?
Unlikely, but I'll give it anyway. It's Chopper H 5791.
Brilliant.
So that's my.
And the rest of the people even know me, or they've probably muted me by now. I'm on too many things.
On everything.
Yeah, I know. I'm starting to feel like Paul O'Grady a couple of years ago. Do you remember, like, every program on ITV had Paul O'Grady on? It's just like, mate, and I got no one else.
I think it's Bradley Walsh now. He's on everything now, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's on absolutely
I love him, though. I like Bradley Walsh.
Yeah, he's great. He is great. He's great. We said it was going to be different. We've been given some recommendations for some Netflix shows, and talks about Bradley Walsh. It's a little bit of a purely Arsenal podcast with a difference. Jack's probably going, "Oh God," rolling his eyes, please. But I'm again, thanks to Jack as well for giving us the opportunity to actually pod without him. As I said earlier, it's the first time ever that he's not featured. But I'm sure he'll be back for the Leicester game, as I said earlier as well.
Thanks to Anthony, as always, for editing.
For the editing, absolutely.
Yeah,
so it is a team effort. You don't always see all of us, but it is a team effort, and we're very grateful and humbled to be a part of something which is quite nice. And it gives us all, ardent, true Arsenal fans, I'll say, an opportunity to speak about something we really do love. So, we're all humbled. And I just want to say thank you to all the people that regularly support us, and even the new ones. They'll retweet the posts, they'll come up with some feedback. Honestly, it's amazing to get that. And it makes our task even better. It makes it more worthwhile for us to do it. We'll do it anyway because we enjoy talking. But that just that gives us that little bit of impetus and joy when we get that feedback, especially when it's so positive. So thank you all as well for that. So I think that's me done. So I'm going to let one of you two say goodbye.
Yeah, so as per, just, it's Apple Podcasts. We keep saying iTunes. iTunes apparently is gone. So it's Apple Podcasts now. Spotify. If you sign up for Spotify, hopefully someone might buy the club one day. So if you've got Spotify, then keep going, because you're helping fund the takeover, and slightly. And we're on Anchor and I think a few of the other bad ones. And we're also on YouTube. And if you are listening to it audio, if you don't mind, if you can go to the YouTube and subscribe and leave a like, because the algorithm on YouTube's gone skew-whiff lately, and it would really help all of us. So yeah, we'd really appreciate it. So thanks a lot, everybody. Take care, look after yourselves, and enjoy the game Saturday. Come on, you Gooners.